Hello and welcome to the Transition Chronicles, a new video series I intend to do on this channel in which I intend to inform you about everything transition. In this first video we're going to be finding out exactly what transition is, therefore we'll be able to refer back to that definition in all future videos in this series. So, what exactly is transition? In simple terms, transition is essentially the process that a transgender individual goes through when transitioning from the gender that they were assigned at birth and therefore have been raised as throughout the majority of their life into the gender that they actually identify as. But why would somebody feel the need to go through that process? Because of something called dysphoria. Gender dysphoria causes immense distress within one's gender. So for example, a trans woman such as myself might get immense distress over the fact that they're flat-chested. However, it is important to remember that every single individual is affected by dysphoria differently and to different severities. So you might have one trans person who barely has any triggers at all and their dysphoria is very minor and they can go through life without really feeling it all that much, and there's only very few things that trigger their dysphoria and give them sort of dysphoric highs or lows. Whereas you would also get other people whose dysphoria is so debilitating that they can barely leave the house. By transitioning, transgender people are able to lessen the effects of their own dysphoria, therefore gaining a comfort in their own skin and being able to live a more confident and happy life, and for some, a more functional life. Because as I mentioned before, dysphoria can be debilitating. Delving even deeper, you can actually break down transition and dysphoria into two separate parts. So with dysphoria, you have body dysphoria and social dysphoria. Whereas with transition, you can have medical transition and social transition. So the best way I can think to describe what transition entails is to use puberty as a model. So think about teenage boys, they get deeper voices, larger muscles and facial hair during puberty, whereas teenage girls get boobs, hips and body hair during puberty. I, as a trans woman, went through male puberty, unfortunately. But you can sort of think of transition as a second puberty which aims to reverse the effects of my first puberty, both physically and socially. So social transition is essentially all of the social elements of puberty. So as a woman, that entails for me learning how to fend off unwanted male attention, learning how to use makeup in my daily life, and learning how to navigate the minefield that makes up female friendships. Whereas for boys, it would be learning how to banter with other boys in the pub, learning how to deal with female attention or how to hit on women if they're heterosexual, or learning how to shave their face, for example. The big difference between cis people and trans people is cis people had their social puberty during their teens, in high school where most other people were going through their social puberty. Whereas trans people, we're having to go through social puberty in adult life. So the fact that all of my female friends who are cis know how to deal with male attention, know when they're being hit on, know what they're supposed to wear to different sort of events, is because they've had like 12 years of learning all that stuff. Whereas I've had to try and learn all of that in the past 12 months. Now medical transition is the opposite of social transition and is all of the physical elements of puberty. However, whereas in first puberty all of those changes happened at any point in time, whether you wanted them to happen or not, in second puberty we have to make those changes happen because they're not just going to happen naturally, unfortunately. And the way to do that is using lots of different medical treatments and surgeries, ergo why it's called medical transition and not physical transition. The major treatment is HRT, which stands for hormone replacement therapy, in which men will be given testosterone, which results in them getting a deeper voice, facial hair, and developing more muscle. Whereas women will be given a testosterone blocker, because testosterone is that potent, and estrogen, which will result in their fat redistributing to their hips, butt, and chest, developing in breast tissue, and their skin will also soften overall. Now, HRT is a very big, complicated subject, and hormones have lots of different effects on different people. All of that we'll get into in different videos, but there's just so much to cover that we can't cover it all here right now. Other treatments that people can get include speech therapy, which is primarily for trans women, as unfortunately estrogen doesn't raise your voice and therefore you have to get speech therapy to heighten it if that's what you need or that's what you want. And then there's also bottom, facial and chest surgeries in which doctors will try to reverse the effects that your first puberty had on your body, and that's for both men and women. However, I'll get into all of that in future videos because there's just way too much information to cover right this second. But to end on, it's important to remember that every trans person is different. You might know somebody who's also trans and they've had this list of treatments, but that list might not be the perfect list for you. I mean, for example, I mostly have body dysphoria. I don't really have social dysphoria that badly. And my body dysphoria focuses on my chest, face and groin area. So I do want to get hormones and have softer skin, which should hopefully help my face, and also will help me develop boobs and hips. I also would like to get some bottom surgeries, and if in the future I deem it necessary, I might go for some facial feminization surgery and breast augmentation. However, I really don't want those last two. I'm hoping that hormones will do everything I need it to do. But that's me. The feelings you have towards your body and social standing are probably completely different to my own. And therefore, you need to assess for yourself what it is you want to change/reverse, if anything. Because the thing is, there's plenty of trans women out there who have only had hormones and they never want to have a surgery and they're never going to have a surgery. And then there are other trans people out there who have had every single treatment under the sun and want even more because they're still not comfortable and happy with their own skin. What you need to do is figure out your own, because like I said, every person's different, and what you need, what you want, is going to be personal to you, and you can't just find somebody else's transition story and copy paste it to your own. Because like first puberty, which was different for every single individual, every single second puberty is different for every single individual. So think long and hard about what it is you want from transition. In future Transition Chronicle videos, we'll go in depth into all of the treatments that I mentioned in this video today, and we'll also go into detail in what it's like socially to be transgender in a cis-normative society. Thank you for watching, and I hope you have a dysphorically light day.